this is the 2015 Fat Bob. I've wanted to ride one of these for quite a while. This is the Dyna model, so it's actually got the rear shocks sort of exposed on either side, just in a more conventional rear shock setup, unlike the softails which have the rear shocks but they're sort of tucked in underneath the swing arm. So apparently the Dynas do tend to handle a little bit better, and certainly this bike generally, it's got reasonably good ground clearance, it hasn't got ridiculously massive tyre on the back, so it does actually handle reasonably well. You've still got the supremely comfortable seat, and it's got these sort of drag bars, a bit like on the Breakout, but they've got a little bit of a turn in at the end, so it's not quite as much of a stretch as the Breakout. It's a little bit more comfortable actually. Compared to say the Fat Boy, it's actually a different bike completely. The Fat Boy is a softail, and this is a Dyna, so it feels different to the Fat Boy. Feels a little bit more nimble actually, and a little bit more agile. Doesn't feel maybe quite as smooth as the Fat Boy though, but once you dip into the revs though, it does feel a little bit more responsive. Again, this doesn't have the standard pipes. I'm not sure what pipes are on this one actually. Cobra pipes on these, which again sound lovely. It's the 103 cubic inch plant on this, 1600cc, putting out about 70 horsepower and about 95 foot-pounds of torque. The torque's the big figure really. Horsepower, yeah, it's not really a big consideration for Harley. I think when they design these bikes is how heavy it is and what sort of horsepower it gives. But the torque, 95 foot-pounds of torque, that's pretty good. And although it's not like a quick in a sport bike sense, it's quick enough to have a bit of fun with. This is kind of where it's at its best, just cruising along 30-40 miles an hour. Perfectly good fueling, a little bit of vibration, I must say it's vibrating quite a lot through the foot pegs, but once you dip into the revs a little bit, it's not too bad. I did notice on the dual carriageway back there that when you sort of rev it quite hard, then the vibrations pick up again, so really in the middle of the rev range it's not too bad. Most of the vibration seems to come through your backside and through your feet. Hands aren't too bad. The bars are in a really good position. So your arms are up quite high, but it's not as much of a stretch as it is with the Breakout, so there's less pressure on your back, on your lower back and the middle of your back and sort of between your shoulder blades. That's all pretty upright. So already in that respect I can feel this is probably going to be a little bit more comfy than the Breakout. It's kind of somewhere between the Breakout and the Fat Boy. The Fat Boy is certainly a little bit more comfortable with the wider bars. So yeah, upper bodies, it's reasonably comfortable, a little bit more vibey. In terms of where your legs are, there's not really anywhere to put your right leg. It basically just rests against the air cleaner. So this big air filter cleaner cover here, that's just rubbing against my leg. At the moment it's not really a problem, but I can imagine that maybe after a day or two of riding this thing, with your leg continually bouncing up and down against it, might get a little bit annoying. Taller riders as well might find that a little bit of an issue. But at the moment it's fine. It's actually quite a round shape, the air cleaner anyway, so it's not like it's sticking into my leg or anything. It just, you can feel something pushing against your leg on the right hand side, whereas you can't on the left, which makes it feel a little bit unbalanced maybe. Ooh, look, we got a clean stretch of road. It's a beautiful day. Nice open road, Harley Davidson, this is what it's all about. So what's this thing like when you decide to drop it down a gear and give it some? It's actually not bad. Certainly seems a little bit easier to get around corners than some Harleys I've ridden recently. Great noise. So yeah, it's fun to do that, but it's not really designed for that sort of riding. But you can do it. And to be honest, it feels like you can hustle it a little bit more than some of the larger Harleys I've ridden. yeah, I'm really liking this so far. Yeah, it's still fundamentally a Harley, but yeah, this is the first dyno I've ridden, and yeah, certainly compared to the softails I've ridden in the touring models, this does seem to have a little bit more dynamic ability to it. Doesn't feel quite as soft, but it still deals with bumps really well. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's sporty, but it's definitely got a little bit more compliance. Certainly on the rear end. You do hear a few little pops and bangs every now and then from the exhaust. That's literally just because this has just got the Cobra pipes on it, but it's not been remapped. So this isn't a stage 1 bike. It's literally just got stock air cleaner, stock headers, just with different pipes basically. So yeah, this bike is in pretty much stock form. Apparently, if you put the stage 1 modification on this, so different air cleaner, flash the fuel injection mapping, it makes a huge difference, not just in terms of noise but in terms of performance, throttle response. It's a big improvement apparently, so that'll be the next one. Hopefully try to ride a stage 1 tuned Harley just to feel what the difference would be. That'd be quite interesting, I think. So the great thing about riding a Harley, like right now, you know, stuck behind this old lady in a Yaris. I don't know if she's an old lady actually, I'm just assuming she's an old lady because she's driving a Yaris. But yeah, the cool thing about just riding slowly like this is it gives you a bit more time to appreciate your surroundings. Like you can look at the plant life and the birds, and you know, you can see things like the clouds reflected in the chrome and stuff like that. You just appreciate your surroundings a little bit more, I think. When you're on a sport bike, you're just whizzing past everything very quickly a lot of the time, so you don't always tend to appreciate the little things. Wow, her clutch stinks. Yeah, she obviously doesn't know how to use the clutch. Yeah, see, if I was on a sport bike now, I'd be looking for someone to overtake. But it's cool, we're on a Harley, so we're just gonna take it easy. Let's give it a little rev, shall we? It's just something, again, I know it's not designed for ripping at these things, but it's just good fun. Like in the first couple of gears, when you just gun the throttle, it's great fun. Suddenly the bike goes from just being this big lazy thing to suddenly feeling a little bit more alive and a bit more eager. It's still obviously a heavy bike. It's about 320 kilos, I think, this bike. But again, because the tyres aren't ridiculous, like it's not got a 240 section rear tyre on this, it looks like about 180, something like that. So it actually doesn't turn too badly. It's a relatively small wheel on the front as well, so a sort of 16-inch as opposed to sort of some of the 19s you get on some of the bigger ones. So yeah, it turns fairly neutrally. You don't get that sort of twisted feeling that you get from some of the bigger ones with the massive tyres. Brakes are pretty much the same as all the other Harleys. They do work, you've just got to grab a handful. Again, there's no real surprises with the brakes. They don't have a huge amount of bite and a lot of feel to them, but it's kind of nice to know that you can just basically just grab a handful of them and it will pull you up. And it's got ABS as well, so if shit really goes wrong, then that's going to help you as well. So we're cruising along now, sort of 50, 60 miles an hour. And obviously it's a naked bike, so wind protection is not brilliant, but you know, at this sort of speed it's fine. I'm not actually really getting any buffeting. You're quite low down as well, so you're not too exposed actually. It's pretty comfortable. Once you get up to about sort of 80-ish, then yeah, obviously you're a bit more exposed at that speed and you do get a little bit more buffeting. But it's actually not too bad. I could probably cruise in this all day long quite happily. You know, for sort of mid-distance touring, I reckon you could probably do it on this. Stick a couple of saddlebags on it, maybe even a little screen, and you've got a half decent sort of tourer maybe. There's just a little bit more vibration than some of the other Harleys though, so maybe in that respect it wouldn't be necessarily the most comfy tourer. Also the lack of footboards and the sort of ergonomics probably aren't quite as comfortable as you would get on one of the dedicated touring models. But again, with Harley it's all about the accessories and customization, so you know, you can go crazy with all that. This is basically a stock bike other than the Cobra pipes. Nothing on this really has been changed from the standard model, so this is pretty representative of the sort of bike you would buy. This is the sort of bike you would get straight out of the box, but most Harley riders, they're going to buy all kinds of accessories and bits and bobs and bolt onto it. That's just kind of the thing that Harleys seem to be about, to be honest. You basically buy a bike and then you spend almost the same amount of money again just adding bits to it, which is fine. You know, I guess some people love doing that. But to be honest, out of the crate, it's a great bike. For someone my sort of size, and for the sort of riding that I would do, I wouldn't really need to change anything on this, I don't think. Obviously I'd budget for some louder pipes, which this has. But other than that, I don't think I'd really change too much. So that's it. The 2015 Harley Davidson Fat Bob. Nice bike. I actually thought this was going to be my favourite Harley. And in some ways it is. I like it's a bit more, has a bit more dynamic ability than some of the others. There's still something about the Fat Boy that I just kind of like though. Just its sort of ease of use and its ergonomics, I think, that I prefer to this. But yeah, this is still a fantastic Harley in its own right.